Right. Let's see. Okay, so we're actually going to rewind this a little bit. Today we're talking about sunshine seekers. Okay, and before anybody asks, yes, I know that sun is supposed to be spelled with a U. In this case, it is sunshine seekers. So isn't that a beautiful day? Beautiful blue sky. You know, some of the hardest times that we have in life is seeking God passionately when everything's going okay. Most of the time for us, it's dark and cloudy, and we're like, God, where are you? Right? That's when we get all passionate about seeking God. But I tell you, He wants a people that even in the beautiful and the quiet, that will be diligent to seek after Him. And so that's what we're talking about today, is seeking after God. Luke 12:30. Your Father knows what you need. Seek His kingdom, and these things will be given to you as well. So this is Jesus' words, and He's talking about, don't worry about the clothes that you're going to wear, the food that you're going to have, your basic necessities in life. So really what Jesus is saying is when you're in the middle of this crazy dark time, don't focus on this. God knows what you need here, right? But seek first His kingdom, and everything else that you have is going to fall in line, right? That's not my words. That's Jesus. I should have made them red, because Jesus speaks red like Larry always says. So we're going to jump over to Romans 12:1. Therefore I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as living sacrifices, holy and pleasing to God. This is true and proper worship. So when we talk about seeking God, what does that actually mean? Okay? He's so big, right? I can't physically see Him with my eyes. Sometimes I wish that I could. When I play hide and seek with somebody, then somebody's hiding somewhere, and physically I can see them with my eyes and go find them, right? Well, God's not hiding from anybody today, but He is calling us to seek after Him, right? So how possibly can I run to heaven and grab God and touch Him? No, right? I can't do that today, but I can get on my knees and close my eyes and talk to Him, and He'll touch me, right? It's the exact opposite of the way kind of the world works. But man, when we talk about how do we seek God, this is it. We set down our lives, our time, and we focus on Him. This could, but for you this may be 5 minutes, 10 minutes a day. This may be on your way driving to work. This may be for you setting aside very specific time just to be with God. But this is true and proper worship. That's how we seek after Him. And it's a purposeful event, right? It is you taking time to say, God, I want your will. I want to talk to you. I want to know you. I want to study your word, right? So when we talk about seeking, it is with purpose, with intention, that we seek after God, right? It's not just something that happens to us. It's not that we sit down and suddenly God walks by and we're like, oh yeah, see, there He was, right? It's not like that at all. We seek after Him, right? So Romans 12:2, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, His perfect and pleasing will. So we seek after God not only by praising Him, by making purposeful time for Him, but we take time to read His Word. And all this seeking after God, what this does is it helps us to be able to hear Him. We played a game with the kids this morning, right? Where we turned the kids around, we had them partnered up with a friend or a family member that they knew really well, and then we had them, the partner, use their voices to call out, come to me. I'm over here. Well, sometimes that's exactly how our lives are, right? Except I've got all sorts of competing voices that want my time, right? I've got activity one screaming at me. I've got things that are good, like my family, that I long to spend time with them. I've got stuff that I feel like needs to be done. I have stuff that I want to do. And then there's the quiet voice of God saying, come over here. Come over here. Let's spend some time together. The reason we seek and spend time with God is so that we can hear his voice, so that we can know his will, right? And it's so that we know how to yield to him. In life, we're all chasing after this together. We're here today because we want to seek after God. We're all making those steps forward, right? That's why we're here. That's why we all meet together. It's not because we're like, man, I don't have anything to do on Sunday morning, so I'm just going to go visit this place in Panhandle, right? That's not it. We're all seeking after God. The more that we seek him and are purposeful on that time, the more that we dig in to spending time with him, the easier it is to recognize his voice so that we can yield. Now, we've had a debate between Leonard and I. We've seen people that, like, when they get up in the morning, they're like, God, do I stay in bed? Yes, he said, get out of bed. God, do I brush my teeth today? Wait. Ooh, oh, okay, yes, I will brush my teeth today. So there's some people that they wait upon God for every small answer, and God bless them. That's cool. I don't think that as a mature adult that's what he wants you to do. Now my kids, when my kids are young and they come to me and they're like, hey, do I wear this? Do I wear that? Do I do this? Do I do that? Man, I appreciate them asking, right? But as they mature, I don't need my son to come in at 8 o'clock at night and be like, hey, I'm about to go to bed. Do I need to brush my teeth? Yes. Right? Now, most of the time, it's kind of the other way around, and I'm like, did you brush your teeth? Right? But in this case, we go about our life. We've got to focus on God. We're making opportunities. But so how many of us, we start driving towards God and kind of life's distractions, we kind of hit the meandering paths. We start going kind of our own little ways. So the deeper that we know God, the easier it is for us to yield so that he can get us in that perfect path, right? And so this is something, this visual image to me came out a couple weeks ago as we were praying together. In a practical, day-to-day manner, how do you go about to have a life of seeking after God? There's things that we know that we should do. Okay? There's things like reading your Bible, spending time with God. These are things that you've got to make purposeful and you need to do. We know that we should do those things. As you go about your life, because there's things that we have to do, like your job. As you go about your life, part of seeking after him is doing the things that you know that you need to do. And as you're living your life, be open, be looking for him so that you can yield. My kids, when, to teach them how to look for cars in the street, we teach them, we say, look left, look right, look left, look, keep looking. Make sure there's not a car, turkey in, turkey out. Whatever you do to keep them safe, right? But as you're going through your day-to-day life, keep your ears and your eyes open to spiritual matters so that you can be looking for where is God in this circumstance and so that you can yield to him. Okay? So it's not only doing the things you need to do, but it's keeping an open eye and ear to God through the rest of your day. So this is a picture of a cup getting filled up. Right? So part of seeking God is getting filled up, and it's also pouring out. Okay? And so some of us today, man, we need to be filled up. Right? We're tired. Or things are hard. Or we just want a refreshing drink of God. Right? So in 2 Kings, and we're going to jump here, and I'm going to read a little bit more than this. So in 2 Kings 4:2, if y'all want to join me there, we're going to talk about Elisha. Does anybody like Elisha? Man, I think that is a really neat guy. So, he's to my recollection, I believe he is the first one in the Bible where it talks about raising the dead. Okay, so 2 Kings 4, I'm going to read. The wife of a man from the company of the prophets cried out to Elisha, Your servant, my husband, is dead. You know that he revered the Lord. And now his creditor is coming to take my 2 sons away, so that he can have them as slaves. Elisha replied to her, How can I help you? Tell me, what do you have in your house? Your servant has nothing there at all, she said, except a small jar of olive oil. So many of us in our own lives, we look at our circumstances and we may be tempted to say, I do have a house, I do have a car, I do have some extra money, I do have food that I can give, I do have time that I can give. I tell you what, if those things aren't seasoned with the oil of the Holy Spirit, they're all for nothing. Right? So the one thing that she says that I believe is true to each and every one of our lives today is I really have nothing to give of my own that will help you except Jesus. I've got the Holy Spirit. I've got a little bit of oil. Right? And let's see what Elisha said to her. He said, Go around and ask all your neighbors for empty jars. Don't ask for just a few. Then go inside and shut the door behind you and your sons. Pour oil into the jars that each is filled and put them to one side. And so she left him and shut the door behind her. And they brought the jars to her, and she kept pouring. And when all the jars were full, she said to her son, Bring me another one. But he replied, There's not a jar left. And then the oil stopped flowing. Church, if the oil in your life has stopped flowing, we need to find some jars to pour into. All right? Sometimes our cups are full, and sometimes they're not full of the good, clean water. Sometimes they're full of the Coke. Right? Sometimes it's more of the sweet tea, right? But sometimes, man, we need to pour out that oil that God's already given us so that he can fill us up. I like the fact that the Bible talks about us as like wineskins, and Jesus makes reference to this. Right, so a wineskin, the more you use it, the bigger it gets, the more it can hold, right? So the new wineskin's actually tight, so it holds less. That's how our lives are today. The more that you seek after God, the more that he pours into you his truth and wisdom, the more you pour that out so that new things can be poured into you. That's how you grow. That's this life of seeking after him that we're talking about, right? It's a continuing cycle of going to that river, to the true clean water, to what brings life, so that we can pour that out to somebody else. And so you look at the story in 2 Kings. And so what happened? He said, Go to your neighbors. They got some empty jars. People, our neighbors have some empty jars. Some of them have dirty jars. Some of them have jars that are broken and cracked and they need help. Right? That's where we come in. Our job is to pour out the Jesus that's been poured into us. Right? Does anybody remember these? We're going to play a game now. Okay, this is almost too old for me, right? Almost. Okay, so this was really popular back in the day. I'll tell you who the first 2 guys up top are. This is Mr. Busy and Mrs. Busy. Now, everyone look around. Do you see any of those in here? Right? Now, can anybody guess who the bottom right-hand corner is? Oh, Mr. Grumpy. I like it. What about the red guy? Mr. Rude. Right? So, a really good litmus test for kind of where you're at in the day, whether you're pouring good water or whether you're pouring the Coke. How you feeling? How you acting? What are you spewing? Are you Mr. Grumpy? Right? Are you super busy? We all know the story of Mary and Martha, right? Mary comes down and says, Jesus, teach me. Martha's like, I got to get the dinner ready. I got to get the house clean. I got to get everything taken care of. And finally Jesus is like, look, Martha, Mary's doing the right thing. Come. Right? So sometimes we can get too busy in our lives. And the way to fix that is we have to be purposeful, intentional about setting aside time for God. So the litmus test, am I doing okie dokie? Are you having your time with God where you can be like Miss Sunshine? How are you feeling, right? How are you feeling? Are you feeling like Mr. Grumpy? I tell you, I was feeling like that the other day. I needed some time with God. Needed some more sunshine, right? Okay, we're going to play one more game. I already gave it away, though. Let's see if it'll play the music. We're going to play Name the Tune. So, Indiana Jones. How many of y'all have seen Raiders of the Lost Ark? Come on. Okay, right? How many of you really liked that show? When I was a kid, I loved that show, right? I think there's a part in every one of us that God has given us, like, this birth to where we want adventure, you know? We want our lives to mean something. There's not any like, kiddo, if you sit down and talk with them, you're like, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? They're going to come up with, like, astronaut and teacher, a policeman, something that they feel brings something to society, you know? Most people don't say, I really want to work in a cubicle. After maybe like 40 years of pushing paperwork, I want to retire. I don't think anybody like has that desire in their heart, really, right? Nobody like I mean, I have met some strange kids that are like want to be accountants. I mean, God bless them. I don't know why they want to do that, but hey, But most of the time, we have a desire in our heart for adventure. And I think that's what, shows like Indiana Jones kind of resonate with us. Now, let's look at this story together. This is an amazing thing. This guy goes through all sorts of terrible troubles to try to find a wooden box laden with gold, right? Now, it's much more than that. This is the Ark of the Covenant. God said, build this. His presence came and rested on it, so it's much more than that. But fundamentally, he didn't really believe in God at the time. He was just looking for an artifact, right? And so, he went through a pit of snakes. He went through boulders chasing him, people trying to kill him, car chases, explosions, what appeared to be the entire, Third Reich army. I don't know, something, right? But so, once he finds the thing, once he rescues the gal, he gets kidnapped, right? And so he's stuck on this pole. I know the spoiler alert. Okay, if you haven't seen this movie yet, it's like 30 years old. So it's okay. So here's the deal. Him and Miriam get all tied up, right? And the bad soldiers are about to open up the Ark of the Covenant. And Indiana remembers, like, ooh, I've heard some bad stuff goes down, So he tells Miriam, don't open your eyes, right? And so they open the Ark, and then suddenly the Spirit comes out and kills all these people, and then the Ark closes himself, and the day's saved. Boom. So after this wild supernatural occurrence, guess what Indiana Jones did? Did he run after God? No, they locked away the Ark of the Covenant. I said, this is strange. Let's get away from this thing, right? So how many of us in our lives, we found that God is real. He has started moving, but we're locking that bad boy up, right? Because, man, we're worried that, he may break out and do something crazy. Might make you do something uncomfortable, right? So here's fundamentally why I'm here this morning. Jesus said, ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you'll find. Knock and the door will be opened to you. We already read that Jesus said, look, all the things in this world, God knows your needs. He knows them. He loves you. He watches over you. He knows how many hairs that you have on your head. He knows this stuff. It's not like when you come and pray to him at night and say, God, you will not believe where I'm at. It's not like he doesn't know. He knows, right? So what do? We seek after him, right? Not just when it's cloudy, not just when it's dark, but we make purposeful, intentional time trying to learn about God, trying to talk to him, trying to find his will. And the good news is you'll find him. It's not wasted, right? In your day-to-day lives, If you're going through a hard time, which we all are, we all do, this is the answer. This is the one thing I can point you to that'll fix it. I can't find you a better job. I can't necessarily build you a new house. I can't always make the bad circumstances go away. But I can point you to the guy that can take care of everything. And the truth of the matter is if you'll start seeking after him, everything else will fall into place. I think sometimes in life, he lets us get to that dark, rainy, scary spot just because we wouldn't even seek him otherwise. When everything's okay and peaceful and everybody's healthy and happy, do we forget about him? Or do we think like, yeah, he loves me, it's okay? How would that work if you're like with your relationship with your spouse or your best friend? If like the only time you come to somebody, you're like, hey, I need $20. Or man, this is a real bad one, I need $1,000. If that's the only time that like you came to somebody, they'd be like, I don't know if that guy's my friend. I think I'm a bank. Right? Well, we don't want to treat God like that either. We don't just want to come to him when our world is devastated and we can't find any other answer than a supernatural one, which there are times in all of our lives that's very true. But we also want to seek after him when things are peaceful. So as a body today, as a church, I think the message for us is seek after God. Press in. There is something new. There is a deeper walk. There is a deeper relationship. And even though you've got turmoil and strife or situations that you're dealing with, seek after God first, and the other stuff, he'll take care of it. He'll resolve it, man. And so the reason we do this, it's not for us, it's for the other people. This is how we help others. We talk about the Go Project, God and others. That's how it works. If you want to pour out to others, you got to be connected to the man. I don't, by myself, have any living water to provide. But I can be a vessel. And that's how y'all are. Right? And I tell you, there's a whole bunch of thirsty, dry people. So that's it for today, man. So I'm going to call you to prayer.